just going to make a quick video of the park near where I live. I always forget what it's called. I want to call it Lougheed Park because this is Lougheed House. It has a French name, Bourrelou Park or something like that. So my apologies for not knowing the name. Bourrelou. And some flowers they plant here every year. Some are perennials, I think. But beautiful day. It's actually Father's Day. My dad and I would typically go for walks around my neighborhood or his, or go on a day trip out to Kananaskis or something, but you know, looks like there's a wedding going to happen here. A lot of weddings are held here. Sorry for the shaky. Yes. I'm just going to walk over here. I don't want to be too invasive. Looked like a pretty classic car. Oh yeah. That's cool. Old Caddy. Yeah, what a beautiful day. In the wintertime, in the winter they flood this with ice and it's a skating rink. In the summertime it's a big toilet for dogs. But you'll still see people out here suntanning. Western Canada High School is straight ahead. I'm going to walk somewhere and get a coffee. It's a really nice day. It's not too hot. I think it's around 10 a.m. Maybe, I think, 18 degrees. I'm just going to wander over to my little neighborhood park that I've been coming to for years, Tompkins Park. Checking out the foliage and the flowers and everything's in bloom now, so it should be quite nice. Analog Coffee is there, Shoppers Drug Mart's over there. So,
but like I think she's like stopped talking to people about it.
Everything's nice and green. It's beautiful in here on a hot day. I'll probably plop myself on a bench up here in the sun. If it gets a little hotter, I'll sit in the shade. Right now it's only about 21. The city crews do a really good job here.
It should be more clean.
We got a lot of chairs here and tables, and I should add that this is licensed for booze. You can actually sit in this park and drink. So, in another video that I did quite a while ago, this place was still under construction. Now renting. Most of these high rises and low rises around here are all rental. Up to a year ago I was thinking they were mostly for purchase, but the majority are rental from what I can see. And they have entertainment here, like bands playing, and they'll have movie night every weekend. At least they did last summer. They had a big screen set up here, and they would show 80s flicks and classic movies and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to walk to the other side, and then I'm going to go sit down. I love the weather like this. Not too hot, just perfect. Gentle breeze. Canadian Tire there. And big high rise there. And there's a Best Buy over there. Best Buy, it's like electronics and that kind of thing here. It's a large Radio Shack. I'm dating myself. But back in the day, that was the place to go for electronics and little accessories. So I'm gonna go sit down over here. So I just left Tompkins Park behind me, Canadian Tire's on my left. This is kind of a neat avenue. It's sort of like avenue, cross, back lane. It's 16th Avenue, and it only runs for a few blocks. Over here is that Grace Presbyterian Church where that concert that Leonard Shaw held. And there's a lot of cafes around here. Cafe Beano's been there for at least 30 years. And I'm just gonna go for a walk this way. This is a nice property here. I'm gonna wander west to another inner city park, and there's some tennis courts, and my dad had a tennis membership there many years ago, maybe 40 plus years ago. So I'm sure with a day like this, everybody will be out playing tennis, and I might grab some lunch that side of the belt line. This area we just refer to as the belt line because it's sort of on the outskirts of downtown. It's in between Lower Mount Royal and downtown, which is that way. I'm just going to cross here. Yeah, this oratory here is amazing. The acoustics during that concert, wow. And that was the last concert that I ever saw with my dad. Actually, both my parents came with me that night. And Leonard Shaw was a former member of the Guess Who. And he, at that time, he was touring the music of Steely Dan. And there was a huge band that came with them at that point. He played with the Guess Who for at least 25 years. So the city is doing a lot of repair and replacement of sidewalks and stuff throughout this whole neighborhood. You can see all the way down the street. They did in front of my place not too long ago. So where I live back there is 5th Street. And it's basically like this all the way from around 2nd Street southeast straight through as far as 20th Street. So a good 20 blocks of condos, apartments, and then it runs from 17th Avenue all the way towards downtown the same. So it's one of the densest populated areas of the city due to the fact it's mostly high rises and apartments. So yeah, 17th Ave is to my left. I'm gonna cut over to the right because there's a nice little park and some cafes over there too. There's another old church. Now this used to be one big park and they've turned 2/3 of it into a dog park with an enclosure, which is nice because a lot of people around here have dogs. And the many apartment dwellers and condo dwellers. It's a good place to bring their pooch off, let it go off leash in here. But yeah, this park used to be grass all the way back to the church with chairs and benches and trees. I kind of like that. Nowadays the only spot is up here. Kalamata grocery store is in this block here. A lot of older buildings from the early 1900s. But I'm going to keep walking west along 14th Avenue. Yeah, Kalamata is just over there. And there's a Tim Hortons just up there. Tim Hortons, several of them. They closed 2 or 3 in this neighborhood down, but there's still at least 3 or 4 within, 15-minute walk of where I live. All right. So now I'm at 12th Street. 14th is just up ahead, but I'm on 14th Ave. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same on every avenue. If you're not from here, it's easy to get confused because each avenue looks basically the same. But it's nice. It's lots of shade with sunny breaks walking along here. They've repaved all of 14th Ave. As you can see, that's new paved asphalt. And 14th Street is one of the busier throughway. It's a north-south artery in the city. One of many. That's an interesting looking pink SUV. This is a newer high-rise. It's called the Nude, N-U-D-E. And I might pop into A&W. The Nude. So I just left A&W, got a little breakfast sandwich and a coffee. Man, they make a good coffee. It's better than Tim's. I think even better than McDonald's, which people rave about. I mean, yeah, there's baristas and higher end coffee places, but who wants to pay $4 or $5 for a freaking coffee? And so 14th Street is right there. A&W is there, just for perspective. There's some beautiful older homes coming up through this part of the city. I think this area might be Sonalta or Connaught. I forget the name of this, but it's still sort of beltline. And that's 15th Street, and I'm still on 14th Avenue. So coming up here is the tennis courts that I was talking about. Dad played tennis here back in the 80s. And there's a church straight ahead there, and there's some beautiful homes up on the hill. I am going to wander this way. The park is to my left that I'm headed to. I'm going to take 13th Avenue into the park. And there's an LRT station straight ahead. I like these older streets and houses. It reminds me of a part of Winnipeg. My grandparents used to live in the West End on Clifton Street. I just love the tree canopy that covers the street and the homes. Many of these homes are from the early 1900s. And they're very well looked after. I have my settings set to fairly linear, so I'm not going to get the whole fisheye kind of panoramic view that I would. I could set it to that, but if I had it set to that, I wouldn't even have to pan. Beautiful trees here. Spasibo. And then when I get to the end, I hang a left and there's a park. Yeah, beautiful houses. There's several areas like this throughout Calgary. Englewood is another, with homes from this era. Ramsey. Every quadrant. Hillhurst in the north. Not too much in the south in this regard, because that was all newer. But, so we're coming up on the park I've been referring to. And I don't know the name of this place either. I come here all the time. But and when I get to the end up here, the tennis courts will be to my left. And hopefully there's a bench up on top of the ridge here. That's where I like to sit. I would come here a lot when Dad was sick in and out of in the hospital. After my visits with Dad, I would come here. And I did share some video footage from here various times of the year: winter, spring, summer, fall. Yeah, there seems to be some spots up there. Shady one right there. And I'm just gonna point the camera to my left once I get up here. And you can kind of see little community center. They have a skating rink and a little hockey rink set up there. More houses of the same era going all the way down here, as well as that way. So I'm just going to climb up the hill. I hope I have the stabilizer turned on. I'm shooting in 4K, and you know, it's good not to shoot for more than 15 minutes. It starts to heat up. All of these GoPro cameras are kind of like that. For most things, I just shoot in 1080. But the stabilizer makes a big difference. And that's the bench I'm targeting. Now, if I was sitting in the sunny one, I'd have a better view of a portion of downtown. Oh, there's a rabbit, or a hare. A jackrabbit. Lots of those around this neighborhood. Parts of the city also used to have actual domesticated bunnies because people had them as pets, and then they would release them and then they would flourish throughout the parks around the city. Little girl wants to see the rabbit. They're pretty big. So yeah, this, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is where I came a lot. I started coming here maybe 10 years ago, frequently. But when Dad really got sick, this is where I would come. And the Foothills Hospital is just over here, where he was for most of the beginning. Initially Rocky View, December 19th, he was brought there, 2024. And within 3 days, Foothills, and he remained at Foothills all the way through January and February. Actually, I think the last week of February, last 2 weeks, he was at a Care West facility, Sarcee, and then they moved him to Fountains of Mission for March 1st. And he was there till May 9th, when he was rushed back to Rocky View, spent a day in ER, and then up to the internal medicine unit 94. He was there for almost 12 days, and then sent to a hospice where he died 2 days later. So Dad died on May 23rd, 2025. And I had bought him a Father's Day card. I kept checking in the stores, they weren't available. I think I got it around the 19th of May. And I was trying to be optimistic. I didn't know he was going to be gone in a few days. So I filled out that Father's Day card this morning and said a lot of things that I wanted to say. How much I loved him, how much I missed him, and yeah. And funny enough, every time I see a crow, I'll think of Dad, because I'd mentioned in a few of my Facebook posts how when Dad was a young man, teenager, they had a crow that would frequent them. This is back in the 1950s, early to mid 1950s. It would come every year and spend the summer with Dad, and he would feed it every day. And when I went to Fish Creek to honor a previous date Dad and I had arranged on June 6th, there was a crow that was there at least a dozen times hopping around. I had a framed photo of my father, and that crow was not shy, and I wasn't even feeding him. He was just hopping around everywhere around my picnic site. And I like to think that that crow was sent by my dad, or was my dad. That might be a little too far-fetched, but I think it was sent by him. I like to think that. And my father was definitely there in spirit. And I just saw a crow a few minutes ago. I didn't get it on video, but right away I thought of my dad, and I think that'll always be, you know, if I ever see a crow land near me, I'll remember my dad. I'll never forget him, but anyway. I had my breakfast sandwich and a hash brown patty and a water and my coffee. There's some beautiful homes in behind here. Big, beautiful houses, and they kind of back onto the park here. Well, I did my good deed, sorry, for Father's Day. These little children in front of me with their, I think it's their mom and auntie. The little toddler, and the girl looks to be maybe 7 or 8. She sent them up here to play, and I happen to know, living around here, that, you know, there is a street element, and junkies and drug addicts use areas like this, and I can see some syringes. I walked around, and the city kind of comes up here now and then, and they you know, they remove the hazardous materials and whatnot, but I'd hate to see a little kid touch something. So I let the mother know, and she wasn't aware of that, and she yelled at them, "Don't touch anything," and then a minute later she said, "Come down." I'm just heading home now. I've been walking for about 8 blocks. I've always liked this older building. Kind of reminds me of the structures you'd see in in Montreal. Not exactly, because they're more of a kind of a colonial, not French colonial, more Victorian sort of. But they have the stairs on the outside and the little balconies. It's kind of cool. And downtown is that way. And I'm gonna go Seventeenth Avenue is over there. And here's another place where they flood in the wintertime, and they make a large skating rink here. A big rink. Pleasure skating. People enjoying the sun. And it's a really old school. Again, kind of Victorian in its design. But they've incorporated some new architecture into it, which is cool. And my place is straight ahead. A few blocks yet. I think another 4 blocks. You have boys, and the other side there is girls. Dr. Carl Safran Center. So it's no longer a school, but this was one of the oldest schools in the city. There's a couple like that. Sonalta is back that way, I think, and then this one. I don't know what they used to call this. Maybe this is Sonalta School, or Connaught. But yeah, they've sort of tied in this newer structure with that. So one thing about this neighborhood, there's no shortness of green space. Lots of little parks and places to sit. That looks like a private enclosure for whoever works in this facility. And I will continue walking home. In fact, I'm going to go through the same park that you would have seen at the beginning of my video. So we're now about a block from the park and my condo. Yeah, what a beautiful day. I like it. It's not too hot. It's just low 20s, gentle breeze, perfect for walking. I've been out walking now for almost 3 hours. 2 hours and 48 minutes. And rather than go in the main entrance to the park, which is straight ahead, I'm going to cut through this parking lot. There's a little garden here. And that's the estate. Yeah, the main entrance is right where those people are to the right, but I'm going to cut around this side. It's been a while since I've been through here, and they've planted a lot of flowers and some gardening has been done, so that's Lougheed House. Named after Peter Lougheed's family, parents, grandparents. Yeah, little sitting areas here. That's really cool. All they need is some tennis courts. So directly below this field, and I think this is a leashed area for dogs, directly below this is parkade, underground parkade, and the ramp is right there to get underground. So in here it's kind of like a museum and a restaurant. Quite nice. So I'm finishing up where I started. Yeah, it smells really nice. All the flowers are coming into bloom. There's my place. And again, Western Canada High School is straight ahead. When I get to the end here, I'll pan back.